Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're going to be updating you guys on the winter storm that we talked about in yesterday's video. There's a lot of new information we have. We're going to be talking about total rainfall, snowfall, and even a ton of severe weather going to be going on for the southeastern United States. Lots of exciting stuff coming up. Now, before I get started with this video though, I would ask that you do subscribe if you do like weather-related content, and also make sure to share this video with your friends and family if they live in the impacted regions. Okay. So we're going to get right into things. We're looking at our current hazards, so our warnings, watches, and advisories here. And you can see there's all sorts of winter weather advisories. I was looking at this and I noticed they are scattered all over the place. There's some for California, Oregon, Washington, Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, North Dakota, Michigan, New York, Pennsylvania. They're all over the place. We also have some river flooding warnings there for some of the deep south states, and then we have some red flag warnings there for Oklahoma, Kansas, and Missouri. These are areas that are going to get very windy as our low pressure system approaches, so that's probably why we have those red flag warnings. Also, if you live in some of the mid-Atlantic states, let us know how much snow you got. I know a lot of you got more snow than expected. We were one of the only sources calling for about 3 to 6 inches of snow in through West Virginia and then over into some of the more western regions of Virginia, and sure enough, we actually ended up getting some pretty good amounts out there as well. So let me know how much you got and how good our forecast did the other day if you saw it. Now we're about to start talking about our hazards as far as our storm track, and then we're gonna have a written map, probably the one you saw in the thumbnail, so you'll be able to see really good what your impacts are for this storm. Alright, so as you can see here, this is our storm track. We're expecting it to start out mostly for Oklahoma and Texas there, and it's going to be heading in an easterly, northeasterly direction there. It's going to make its way through some of the Corn Belt, some of the Great Lakes states, and then up in through Pennsylvania, New York, and then in through New England as well. We're expecting a lot of icy precipitation, a lot of mixing going on, as well as a lot of snow. So let's get right into this. Our first layer here is going to be our wintry mix area. This is where I'm expecting some areas to get some accumulations of snow, some areas to get ice, and some areas to get mostly rain within this area. Very, very tough to forecast this light blue shade that I just added. A lot of you might overperform as far as snow, and a lot of you might get a disappointing amount of snow, like only, well, it depends if you want it or not, but you might only get a couple of inches, even though you were expecting to potentially get more. This wintry mix area can make or break this snowstorm for you, and it's been a very difficult one to forecast already. Now, our second layer here is the all snow area. I think in this more turquoise region, we will be receiving all snow. Not a lot of mixing going on whatsoever in this little sliver of an area there. And then we have most snow within this darker blue area. This is where I expect the most snow to fall, from areas just to the north of Chicago in through northern Michigan, and then a little bit of northern New York there and northern Maine as well. You might take notice of that as well. Then we also have some severe weather for this red area in the deep south, Texas, Louisiana, and through the deep south states. And then as I add this even deeper red shade, this is the area where we expect the potential for very severe weather. I'm expecting supercell development and potentially a few major tornadoes for this region. We will have more on the severe weather later in this video. Now we're about to get into our simulated radar, which is going to tell the whole story. Alright, so the interesting thing with this storm is we can see our trough there in the central United States. This is the European model, by the way. We have a deep trough there digging in for the central United States, and the cold is going to move in. I had a lot of people commenting from different regions. It's going to be a high of 40 or 50 for my region. Why are you calling for snow? Well, the interesting thing about a high temperature is that's just the highest temperature you reach in a day. Now, the cold air is going to set in, and it's going to set in fast. The area between the cold and warm air is very, very slim, and your temperatures are going to drop quickly. So even though your high temperature is in the upper 40s or lower 50s, it can easily drop 20 degrees within, during the day. Sometimes your high temperatures are in the morning time. People forget that as well. 7, 8, 9 a.m., you could have your highest temperature in those hours, and then it could be dropping throughout the entire day. And by the time it's evening time, you could be looking at a lot of snow there. So starting out things, we see some blue there for Kansas, Nebraska, and Iowa, and our low pressure system is located there in Texas and Oklahoma. And that's going to be by Saturday, or just by Friday night, 8 p.m. Now, let's move towards maybe 5 a.m. on Saturday. We see a lot of pink showing up. Again, that mixing is going to be prevalent. We see severe weather starting up by this point in Texas, Arkansas, and Louisiana. By the way, by this point, Let's move on another frame, and we see that snow starting up on this model for Oklahoma, Kansas, and Missouri. This is a standalone model for this, so I'm not really expecting too much snow like the European model is showing here for Kansas, Oklahoma, and Missouri, but this model certainly is. Huge mixing issues there for southern Michigan and Chicago as well, as the low pressure system is expected to be a little bit further north than originally anticipated, and that's going to be by about Saturday afternoon. And then by time we're at Saturday evening, maybe 8 p.m. once again, we see the heaviest of the snows in Missouri and northern Illinois, and maybe Chicago is switching over to snow as well as northern Michigan. It's heading further and further south, that rain snow line. Now we're about to move on where we're going to start to see more and more snow. We're actually going to start to see Chicago switch over to snow and get some back end snow with this one. And this frame is probably by about 2 a.m. on Sunday here, and we see northern Illinois and through Wisconsin getting the heaviest of the snow, as well as still northern Michigan. The low pressure system is right above Cleveland there. We see some mixing still going on for southern Michigan, but we see a lot of pinks. That's where we're going to be dealing with a lot of icy precipitation, potentially a dangerous situation there as we're seeing freezing rain within this, which is, again, a very tricky thing to forecast. This is about by 8 a.m. on Sunday, January 12th here, and we see Michigan has completely switched over to snow as that cold air, again, very quickly moves in, very, very quickly. The temperatures are switching very fast, and we see mixing going on for northern New England, but Michigan, you're just getting blasted there. And by time we're at about Sunday afternoon, we're basically switching over to where we're mostly just seeing showers, but Maine, northern Vermont, we're starting to see snow by this point. So let's look at your total snowfall on this model here. Starting out with the central United States, anything in the blue is about 2 to 6 inches of snow. And then as you get into those purples and pinks, that's where you're at about 6 to 12 inches of snow. You can see areas to the north of Chicago there, and maybe right around Chicago is where we're expecting 6 to 12 inches of snow, maybe more. A lot of people were wondering why I'm calling this winter storm major. Well, we're seeing one of the more major severe weather events I can remember for January, as well as the potential for 12 to 20 inches of snow there for some of the Midwest and Great Lakes regions. So very, very major winter storm here. I don't know why people even don't think it's major, but it definitely is. We see northern Michigan. They're expected to get about 15 inches of snow as of right now on this model, as well as areas in Wisconsin. Now, as we move eastward, you can see northern Maine as well, not missing out on that snowfall. We're definitely going to be seeing some back-end snowfall for a lot of these regions, which could lead to some snow showers and some spotty accumulations for a lot of the northeastern United States. But really, New York, it's really trended north for you guys where we're not expected to see too much snow whatsoever. All right, and then your GFS is a little bit further south. This one's still trying to stick with the idea that it'll be further south, but this one is definitely alone in this idea, and I think I'm siding with the European by this point as it has that ensemble support, which is a big, big player in all of this. All right, so we're about to start talking about your severe weather for this storm, where we're expecting a major severe weather event here for Friday in through Saturday and maybe even Sunday for the deep south of the United States. Now, I mentioned in yesterday's video that I'm expected to do a lot of severe weather videos this spring and summertime. I obviously need to transition eventually to where I'm going to be doing mostly that, because that's going to be the most impactful weather going on for a few months in the springtime. That's how it usually goes anyway. So we're going to be looking at our convective available potential energy, or for short, we call it CAPE. And really, this is just a value of a lot of different implications that would lead to severe weather or the development of thunderstorms. And typically, we look for about 1,000 CAPE or more for severe weather to develop. And you can see by Friday morning, about 8 a.m. In Texas and Oklahoma. Oklahoma, we're only at about 600, but for Texas, we see a lot of those 1,000 plus numbers. So we're probably going to start to see showers and thunderstorms developing by Friday morning in Texas. And that's a main area that we're expecting severe weather. Now, let's move on, and we start to see those close to 2,000 amounts, and that's where we see, really good chance at severe weather, and that's by Friday, I would say, afternoon. And then by time we're at Friday late evening, about 1 a.m., maybe 12 a.m., heading into Saturday, January 11th, we see 2,000, 3,000 amounts there for Texas. So this is going to be an overnight type event. Tons and tons of CAPE. So let's look at your simulated radar here on the NAM 3KM model, and this is by Friday morning, or this is actually by Friday afternoon once again. So you can see that CAPE that we showed just a second ago has led to the development of showers and thunderstorms for Texas and Oklahoma. Now, as we move forward, we start to see a very strong line of thunderstorms develop throughout Texas as we head towards the late evening, as this cape is intensifying more and more and more, and we see more energy available for these thunderstorms. And then we have to switch to a more low resolution model here as this is getting too far out. But this is by about 2 a.m. and we see those yellow dots out in front of our main line there through Texas and Louisiana. And that's actually the development of supercells. We're expecting supercells with this event. There's tons and tons of wind that is going to lead towards the development of very strong supercells, as well as the available energy. Just all of those things coupled together is going to lead towards a very severe weather event there. Potential for strong tornadoes and a lot of severe weather. As we move closer, we'll have more information on that. But here's your total rain for this event. This is your total precipitation, actually, not just rain. So this is how much precipitation you're expecting. If you're in the green, you're up to about half an inch of precipitation. If you're in the blue, it's a half an inch to 2 inches of precipitation. And in your pinks, it's 2 to 6 inches of precipitation. A lot of people were wondering how much rain they're going to get. So here's your map to show that. Now, here's your categorical outlook for the severe weather event. This is going to be for Friday in through Friday night, actually. And we see those greens. That's where we're at a marginal risk, kind of scattered event. Slight is where we see a little bit of more of an event, but there in the enhanced risk, that orange area is where we're expecting the most severe weather to set up and the most dangerous conditions, and that's where we expect those supercells to be possible. And as we look at your probability forecast, within that black dashed area in the very southern regions of that red region is where we expect the potential for significant severe weather, and I'm expecting significant tornadoes, aka EF3s or above, to be possible with these very, very dangerous storms. So please pay attention if you're in those regions of Texas and Louisiana. Also, the next day, Saturday and through Sunday morning, we have a very high risk of severe weather as well for Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. Within that 30% region is where we're expecting another area of enhanced risk. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Again, be sure to share it with your friends and family if they live in the affected regions, and I'll see you guys in the next video.